Hari Om. I'm going to speak with you on a very interesting subject of yoga, that is, changing your habits, changing the conditionings of your mind, changing the way we think, changing the way we feel, changing the way we act. The whole purpose of yoga is actually to do that. So let's start. The purpose of this changing habits idea is basically to get rid of our negative habits or maybe some kind of addictions that we have, and they are causing problems, affecting our life negatively, affecting relationships, affecting our professional life, affecting our personal life, affecting the health. The purpose of this exercise is also to find out the weaknesses that we have that led to these negative habits. Lack of willpower, lack of commitment, lack of sincerity. Because I'm not very disciplined, I don't get up early. So the negative habit of not getting up early, the underlying cause is lack of discipline. And then the third purpose is how we can plan to change these negative habits and how to implement these different yoga principles to change these negative habits. So let's start. For changing the habits, you also need to change the way you think. There are certain very wise recommendations given by the yogic texts. So I'm going to give you these steps how you can change your way of thinking about a habit, or how you want to change your brain before you actually do some karma yoga or some austerities or some dana, or say giving away, or say charity, donation, charity things. You have to change the neural pathways. When we have formed a habit, what is happening in our brain is, in our brain there are more than 100 billion neurons, and these neurons connect with each other to form neural pathways. When I am doing same thing again and again, say I am eating chocolate every day, there a new neural pathway is formed, and that neural pathway, when I eat or when I see the chocolate, it that pathway is triggered and I have a very strong desire to eat that chocolate, and then I can't resist because that neural pathway is activated. The question is how to stop this neural pathway and form another neural pathway which will help me get rid of that chocolate cravings. When I have cravings, when I have these thoughts, that neural pathway is activated, I want to stop it. How to do that? I crave for cigarettes. How to stop my thinking process? First step, Shravan. It's a Sanskrit word. It means gather information. Read, listen, watch, and get the information related to the problem connected to the negative habit. For example, smoking is a habit. I go on reading the information that how bad is smoking. I read that smoking is bad for my health. I read the smoking is bad for my partner's health, health of my family. Now this is the information. Now I have to read it more and more. Every day I have to read it. Every day I can read some new information or the same information over and over again and again. Now this triggers a new neural pathway in my brain, understand? And I want that to tackle with this established neural pathway. I want to stop this neural pathway which tells me smoke. And once that pathway is activated, I can't stop myself. So I want to stop that. First step, gather information. Second step, when I have the information and I'm reading it every day, I start talking about it. I talk about this information to my friends, to family members, or my colleagues in the office, or if there is no one, just a self-talk. Because yoga texts say that when you speak something, speaking on something, some subject, is a powerful way to activate different parts of your brain. When I hear it, when I see it, different parts of the brain. When I talk about it, different parts of the brain. And then the last step, third step is smaran, remembering. Every day, morning, evening, I remember this information. I can put reminders and I can read it to remind myself. Before going to bed, I can remind myself. Every early morning, every day early morning, I can remind myself. I can remember the discussions I had. I can remember the talks that I gave. Now this memorizing is again another different parts of your brain. So gathering information by reading, watching, listening, then talking about it, and then reminding myself. This is a very powerful way of changing the habits. And then there is a very important role of sankalpa or resolve in doing all these changes. I have to keep remembering the sankalpa, the resolve, every day morning, every day evening. If I write it, it's very good, very effective. When I do the yoga practice, I remember it, very effective. Before yoga nidra, I remember it, very effective. Before chanting mantras, I remember it, very effective. And now it's very well known, the scientifically, the scientific studies have concluded that you can change these neural pathways. The brain can change itself. It's called plasticity, neuroplasticity. So the brain can change. So this established neural pathway, I can change that pathway and create a new pathway. And I have just given you the yogic way of creating these new pathways. And if you keep doing this practice very regularly, every day, and for many days, even that big tree can be rooted out. That is also proven by science, that if you just repeat a pattern every day, then that's going to be a new pattern for you. There is going to be a new neural pathway for you. So this is a very effective way of changing how we think. It can be applied to anything. Doesn't have to be just cigarette smoking or alcohol. It can be just habit. I have become a negative, I have become a sad person. So whatever happens, I become sad. I can even change that. I become anxious with little triggers. I can change that. I can gather information. Getting anxious quickly is not good. It affects my health. I can read more information on that. I can watch something. I can listen to some talks, something. And then whatever I have got information, I'm going to talk about this to my friends or to family members or just a self-talk. And then I'll remind myself every day. And then I can bring changes. Maybe few days. If the habit is older, then maybe few months. If the habit is even more old, then few years. The yogic texts have said that anything can be changed within 12 years. Even the habits that you're carrying from your last life, that also can be changed. So I'm just going to stop here, and I request all of you to uh, follow these steps to help yourself change these habits. So I'm going to stop here. Hari Om. How does yoga view the negative habits? The habits that we have formed and that has become a part of me. This habit has become a part of me. And this negative habit is causing a lot of suffering and pain. The habit of drinking alcohol is being formed. And that habit is really hurting me now because it's hurting my relationship, it's hurting my professional life, my performance in my job has gone down, it's also hurting my health. So this negative habit is ending up in suffering and pain. I have formed a habit of getting angry at little things. Well, that anger has resulted in my heart problems, which is quite well known now that angry people are more likely to have heart issues. That anger has also destroyed my relations with my partner, with my family, and in my professional life also, it's hurting me. So these negative habits certainly cause suffering and pain. Now, how these negative habits are formed? Again, yoga is looking at these four causes. First, kama, sensory desires. Second, krodha, ego or anger. Third, lobha, greed and possessiveness. And the last one, bhaya, fear and anxiety. Sensory desires are very powerful and they easily form the negative habits for us. I get introduced to a cigarette and that creates a pleasure sensation. This sensory desire creates a pleasure sensation. So I want to have it again. When I have it again, I want it even more. So I get attached to these desires. And this attachment with these desires and repeating that behavior over and over again and again forms the negative habit. That I am so habitual that I have to have cigarette. People get addicted to different desires. Eating, smoking, drinking, sexual desires. They're very addictive. Then also the krodha, which is ego and anger, it also easily forms negative habits. I get angry, and then the other person doesn't want this angry exchanges, so he calms down or keeps quiet, and that allows my anger to get into a habit. But now this anger is going to hurt me over a period of time. But I let it form. The ego, I start thinking, I am really great because I have done something good and someone praised me. So this ego gets into habit of needing a praise. If someone doesn't praise me, it becomes a big problem. My likes, my dislikes, I want things in a particular way. I lose my flexibility. I lose this flexibility because of the habit that I have formed due to this ego. How many likes I have, how many dislikes I have. I don't want people to talk in this way. I want them to say this word. I don't like this attitude. These are all the habits that we form. Next, the greed and possessiveness. This also becomes a habit. People just go on collecting things. Shopaholics. I go to shop and I have to purchase this thing. I have to get that thing. I may need it in future. I have forgotten whether it's really necessary or not, whether it's really needed or not right now. But I have formed a habit that if I see something nice, I must have it. And this habit hurts me. When we go to shop, supermarkets or malls, we purchase many things that we really don't need. That's the result of this greed. And the last is bhaya, fear and anxiety. Now this fear also forms a lot of negative habits in us. Anxiety also forms a lot of negative habits in us. People in get this obsessive compulsive disorders. To wash some negative thoughts of their mind, they may start, like, for example, washing the hands continuously, and then it becomes a habit. The negative thoughts, the moment they come, you start washing the hands. The panic attacks, this is the result of this habit of fear. Now, why are these kama, krodha, lobha and bhaya? They allow these habits to be formed. The yoga takes a very logical view. Interestingly, this is also what the science, the research and various studies have pointed out, that when you have desire, kama, what happens? When someone wants to eat a particular food that he is craving or she is craving, what is happening is that craving, due to the desire, reduces the blood flow to the frontal lobe of the brain, and that reduces our decision making ability. When a person has a desire to smoke, he knows it's not good. He knows, he promised his partner that he is not going to smoke so much. Though the awareness is there, his intellect is not able to make the right decision, and the decision making ability is influenced negatively. What is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is positive, what is negative, what is useful, what is useless. Our intellect cannot make these decisions when the desires are very powerful. The same thing is with krodha, anger. When I am angry, I cannot make the right decisions. I often make wrong decisions, wrong choices when I am angry, and next day morning I feel bad that I got angry yesterday and I said these words which I did not mean, and I feel bad. There is a remorse, there's a regret the next day. Why? Because when I am angry, my intellect is not functioning properly. I can't make a right decision as to what to speak, what to do. Lobha is again another thing. When I am greedy, when I am taking things, I am not even aware that this is illegal. When people get involved in corruption practices, they know that this is not good, but they can't stop themselves because their decision making ability at that time, that point of time is not working right. And when we are fearful, bhaya, fear, when we are overtaken by fear, we also can't really make the right decisions. Sometimes the anxiety and the fear is excessive and we make wrong decisions. Now, these negative habits that are formed because of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, and while they are forming, the intellect is not very well functioning. But when the intellect functions well after that habit, why can't I just take it out? Maybe I was stressed for last 3 months and I got into the habit of drinking coffee 5 times. Okay, now the stress is gone, but the habit is still there. Why is not going away? Yoga says that the negative habits don't go away because we don't have the willpower. Because this kama, krodha, lobha and bhaya, they take away our willpower. If there is no willpower, you can't make a decision. And if the decision is not there with the willpower, then it's of no use. Swami Satyananda narrated a very beautiful story. It's a it's a it's a real event, and he was trying to make his disciple Swami Niranjan understand the habits. It's a very interesting incident. First day, Swami Satyananda asked Swami Niranjan, who was very young, he was a young boy at that time. So he asked Swami Niranjan to come because he wants to show him something. So Swami Niranjan went out. Satyananda showed Swami Niranjan a small weed next to a plant which was just coming up from the earth, and there was a small plant of the flowers which was planted, and next to it there was this little weed that was coming up. So Swami Satyananda said to Swami Niranjan, look, we just planted this flower plant, and you need to take that little weed out. Swami Niranjan, as respectful and as diligent he was, immediately went and picked up the little weed out, and it was very easy because he just pulled it with his fingers. No energy required. And he showed his guru, his master Swami Satyananda. Oh master, I did it. Next day, Swami Satyananda called Swami Niranjan and said to him that, okay, today I'm going to show you another weed. But this time the weed, it, it had become into a plant. And the plant was about 2 or 3 feet long and quite well rooted. But it was next to another fruit plant this time. So Swami Satyananda said, now take this out. Swami Niranjan said, okay master. He tried to pull it with his hands, it was hard. So he went and got some tools to dig. So he had to dig for some time. And then finally he pulled out that 3 feet long weed. And he told his master that, oh master, I have done it. Swamiji said, well, very good. Third day, Swami Satyananda asked Swami Niranjan to come out and said, see, we have planted these 5 different plants around, and there is this big weed, but it's a big tree. And the trunk of the tree was massive. So Swami Satyananda said to Swami Niranjan, can pull it out now? Swami Niranjan was little worried and he said, is my master serious? I really can't pull this tree out. It's so huge. What maximum I can do is I can probably cut the branches, but then it will keep growing again and again and again. It's nearly impossible to root it out. And that's exactly when Swami Satyananda told Swami Niranjan, yes, you're right, you can't really pull it out now. And this is the same with our habits. If the habits are newly formed, you can just pull it out very quickly. You can just remove that habit within few days and that's it, done, you're done. If the habit stays there for a longer time, then it becomes difficult. You need to work very hard to get rid of this habit. And if the habit is there for longer than few years, then it gets really, really difficult to remove that habit and change that habit. But yoga says that if you increase your willpower, then you can remove this negative habit. Now, yoga has given different ways how you can tackle these habits. You have to see how the habit is formed, and depending on what is the root cause of that habit, whether it's desires or anger or greed or anxiety, fear, depending on that, yoga has recommended different ways to deal with this habit. If the habit is formed because of sensory desires, yoga recommends tapas. Tapa is austerities. Tapa is a strong effort made to control the sensory organs. The tapas increases our willpower and prana. The willpower and prana is what we need to handle the habit or remove the habit. Tapas is about controlling all our sensory desires. What are these austerities? Let's take example. Now, austerity of silence. I have a problem of, say, getting angry and really losing my control, and I say bad words, or I throw things. For example, I'm saying this is a negative habit. Now, the tapa for me could be to maintain silence every day for 1 hour. Now, what that's going to do to me? In that 1 hour, when I'm doing silence, not every day I'll be comfortable. Some days my mind will tell me this is not possible. I have to shout. I have to say something. I can't just keep quiet. What is this stupid thing I'm doing? Now, despite of these temptations to speak, if I am still telling my mind that no, I need to be quiet because this is what is my tapas, austerity, commitment, decision, and I'm sticking to my decision. This is my resolve, and I'm sticking to my resolve. When I stay focused on my resolve, on my commitment, on my discipline, this is the process of increasing willpower. This is very important for us to understand. Willpower is accumulated with everyday little practice. Say the practice is silence or the practice is mantras. My bad habit is I get distracted very easily, I can't really concentrate. I get carried away by different thoughts. Maybe then tapas for me is mantra chanting. Every day, 10 to 15 minutes, I'm chanting mantra. In that 10 to 15 minutes, my mind again tries to get carried away with the thoughts, but every time it goes away, I pull it back to the mantra. So it's a training to the mind. While I'm giving the training, the willpower in my mind is increasing, the pranic energy is increasing, and this is what's going to help me tackle the habit. If I have a habit of eating junk food, I can go for limited fasting, maybe 1 day in a week, and I make a resolve. Today I'm not going to eat anything. First few days, first few weeks, it will be very tough for you. But if you keep pushing your limits, keep you pushing your boundaries, a point will come when your mind will learn that yes, if you decide you are not going to eat it, then you follow that. That is willpower. And then when the time, when the opportunity for you will be there to eat junk food, you can just say to yourself, no, I'm not eating it. And that will be enough because your mind has learnt, your sensory organs have learnt. So this is a way to deal with the habits formed because of sensory desires. Now going for krodha, ego or anger. The way that is given in yoga texts, especially Bhagavad Gita, these are all recommendations from Bhagavad Gita. Karma yoga is a solution for krodha. The ego and anger is not easy to deal with. Ego is so hard. It breaks relationships, incites violence, wars, destroys everything. So ego is not something that goes away easily. In relationships break because I did not say sorry. It's just one word sorry could have saved my relationship. But why I should say it first? Relationship is broken. It is that sensitive. So yoga says do karma yoga. Karma yoga is a path of a selfless work that we do for others without any attachment to the fruit of our actions. Community help, community services, or you work for the mother nature. This is a way to develop a positive connection, develop gratitude and humility in our personality. My life is not independent. My life is dependent on everyone around me. Different people provide me food, different people provide me clothes, different people provide me the house that I'm staying in. The material that made the house is made by different people. So it's not me, I just given money. But keep aside money for the time being because it's people also who accepted your money and gave it to you. So my life is interconnected life. Mother nature has given me so much. These trees have given me oxygen, they have given me food. These animals are important for the ecology of the system, so they have direct or indirect contribution to me. So I have to give back because I receive. And this is the idea of karma yoga. When I give back for what I receive, this idea brings down the ego. Ego is about how powerful and how strong I am, how independent I am, how intelligent I am, how beautiful I am, how powerful I am, how rich I am, how skillful I am, how good I am as an artist. These are all expressions of ego. But once we understand that all these expressions have no meaning if it is not for this creation around me, and then realizing the contribution of each of the person around me and each of the object around me, each of the object of mother nature around me, brings my ego down. And that's the solution for all the habits of ego and anger. The next is the greed, lobha. Possessiveness, greed. I just hold on, hoarding. Hoarding is such a big problem. Gets into very negative habits. People hoard so much. They don't even use it. They just put the stuff in their house. The solution to that as per Bhagavad Gita is dana. Dana is give away part of what you have. Practicing non-attachment to the objects and to the people around is very important. To the relationships, people get attached. You have to practice non-attachment in that case. If you have $100, give away some percentage of it, maybe $5, maybe $10. Always we need to keep in mind whatever I have doesn't belong to me completely. A part of it is for everyone around me. This is a way to get rid of habits formed because of greed and possessiveness. Then the next is bhaya, fear and anxiety. They create various habits. Again, the fear results in possessiveness, the fear results in anger, and the fear is connected with sensory desires. Oh, I may not get chocolate. Fear. Anxiety. Oh, I may not get a good job. Anxiety. So they are connected. Fear is connected with all three above. But still, if you want to deal with the anxiety and fear and worry, then yoga recommends bhakti. The bhakti is about belief in yourself, in your abilities, and most importantly, your connection with the Mother Nature as an equal and divine part of the cosmic energy. Our connection with Mother Nature is very crucial to get rid of fear. When we identify ourselves as one with the Mother Nature, and that brings the idea of oneness with everyone around me. I treat everyone equally. Then the fear goes away. When I treat the other person as same as me and equal, then I don't have fear that he will take away my money. And if he takes away my money, I have no attachment with that. So that also does not create fear and anxiety in me. In today's world, in our society, in the big cities, you really can't even smile at other people freely. If you smile, the other person may fear that, oh, you are just trying to be too friendly and you may have some bad intentions. Well, big problem. So this connection is super important to deal with this fear. Now, when you are dealing with these habits, a deep relaxation is very essential. When you want to change, when you are making an effort to change, your body probably will be more stressed. During the tapas, austerities, you will be stressed. During karma yoga, you might be stressed. Giving away part of your money, you will feel little stressed. So it is necessary that you try and relax yourself. The body mind relaxation is very crucial for your efforts to bring fruit, the efforts to deal with the habits is very crucial.